All right, hello, welcome to another tea review. I'm Ashish and I'm sitting again with Soham, and today we are going to drink a 2003 Sheng Puerh. So, what do we know about this tea?
Well, this tea was stored in Hong Kong for most of its time, and it has it's definitely an example of a well stored Hong Kong tea. Um,
Hong Kong, remind me, is that dry storage?
it's humid.
Or
It's
it's humid? Okay, so not dry.
not dry, and it. It's basically a tea that I was drawn to because the price point was very affordable considering, it has a fair amount of old tree material in it. It's well aged, and in the description, it was described as being a tea that is good for aged Sheng Puerh lovers and for Sheng Puerh lovers because it kind of drinks like a Sheng Puerh,
Hmm.
and partly due to the fact that it's been stored, in Hong Kong, cleanly, has
Do you have water in
definitely.
your pot right now?
Yes.
Oh, but no tea.
Not no tea yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you had tea in there, which is the only reason
Well,
I.
no.
I
Oops.
was like, no.
No. It's like, ooh, well, there goes the session. I did spill a little bit of tea, but it's okay. Whoa. It went black over there. I don't know if this has ever happened. Eric, are you there? She's wow.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
It just went midnight.
I know.
You did.
Because this has never happened because I've never used batteries before. I always had my camera connected to a power source,
Oh, batteries.
but I didn't bring that thing with me. And I thought I put in a full battery, but apparently I didn't. Apparently I put in a dud. Okay. Should be back. Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're back.
We're back.
Apologies for the technical. Thanks. Remains to be seen if that little episode will have some bearing on our understanding of this tea.
I feel like it will.
Okay.
And also, I feel like I was being a little bit haphazard with I wanted to weigh out the rest of the sample I had of this tea, and it's weighing in at 7.3 grams that I'm putting in a pot that's, I think, it's a 110 milliliters.
Mhm.
So a fair amount of tea.
It's gonna be full. Yeah, it's gonna be full.
But it's going to be good for this tea. It will be
I
good.
kind of get I get a little menthol off of this.
Yes. Yeah. Smelling the cake, it definitely has a well aged smell. It has that like minty smell. Yeah. I'm smelling it. I haven't even rinsed it yet. I just put the rinsed pot. All right. Now I will smell the rinse.
Yeah, I also used 7 grams in a 105 milliliter pot.
I feel
So
like
I'm
how much?
7 grams.
7 grams, yeah. Oh, you know what this reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of Poe.
Why?
I just, I think my exposure to aged teas, like well-aged teas, was like the first time I sat with Poe. I mean, I had some aged teas before then, but like, you know, just like this aroma reminds me of the White Lotus Woods, if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah.
I got that on my birthday, like 2015. Yeah. Which we're
All right.
around my birthday now. So
Yes.
it's just
2
like,
days away.
it's a plant. It smells like a plant. Whatever that means. It smells like a plant. I'm going with it. It smells like I'm in the jungle.
Yep.
It's like a plant that is, it's like humid. There's a humidity.
Well, it might have to do with Hong Kong.
Yeah. Fallen wet leaves. Wet. The leaves are wet.
So this is a compressed tea. So,
Yeah.
this first steeping, as expected, is not super dark.
Yeah. But you will be
But
surprised.
great oils on it, though. Great oils on the top of that tea. Cloud feet. I don't know if it's possible to see it. Probably not.
It is possible, but I don't see it.
It is in the realm of possibility.
Mm. This video is going to be like an hour. Oh my god.
Because it's gonna, we'll like fast forward through like parts of it with the Mickey Mouse voices.
Yeah, it's like what you did with like throughout the first 3 seasons of She-Ra. Some episodes when they had to,
Right, I just skip it.
they're like, oh wow. Yeah, I mean,
I need to taste my water. I just need to know what I'm working with here.
yeah, you do. That's smart.
Just because, I'm in a new location, and so it's not my standard.
It's not your cup of tea.
But
Is this charcoal treated water?
Is it what? This is no, it's still just RO water from, which is what I use.
But yeah,
but I'm like, as opposed to being at 8,000 feet elevation where water boils at 115 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm at essentially 0 elevation.
That's something very good to note.
Yeah. Okay. So based on tasting the water, like definitely there's a roundness to this tea, because I was like, oh wow, is this the water that's just round and sweet like this? But it's the tea that did that.
So at this point, with all the teas, I feel like we've said round in every tea that we've had so far.
Yeah.
I think there's a theme.
Yeah.
The teas go round and round. Just like a lot of bad dad jokes right now.
Well,
I'm not going to blame
practice. You got to practice.
Yeah, man, the smell. I have my off-camera assistant here, my smelling assistant. Her senses are very tuned up and very pure. Yeah, yeah. So honestly, it smells It smells older than 2003 to me. Yeah, it has the 80s smell. It has that like Thailand, like
It definitely is jungle smelling though. Like
it's definitely what?
jungle smelling.
Yeah, it's
Like
good.
like a seaweed jungle.
Yeah, it's a pleasant age smell. It's not like I'm not smelling storage as much as I'm smelling like the tea. The tea is alive and aging. It's like I'm just gonna keep using movie analogies. You know, in Eat, Pray, Love, have you seen the movie when Javier Bardem's character is with his son? And he's like, "Oh, he's a man. My boy is a man." It's like this is like what this is the tea. It's like that feeling. It's like I'm still gonna kiss him on the mouth because that's, you know, I love my son, but he's a man now. He's 20 years old.
But I think this, for me personally, this tea is a good demonstration of the difference in aging, how different aging happens in different storage, because it definitely doesn't, like for 2003 wet storage.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it has a distinct difference from that type of tea. It feels like it's like not as rushed. Like it's more like meandering its way through the aging process, as opposed to like a direct.
Well, what's another interesting note, at least in the description when I bought this tea, is that the matcha was aged for a bit before being pressed. So the tea was pressed in 2003. So however long the matcha was aged before then, unknown. And then it was stored in Hong Kong for a while, and then it was stored just across the border, still in a humid area, but it moved around a little bit. I don't know if that has anything to do with the meandering quality.
I don't know. It's definitely has a uniqueness to it though. Like it certainly has an age quality, but it doesn't feel like a traditional profile that I'm used to. You know, maybe that's because it's a Sheng and I'm more used to shows. But even so, I mean, we've drank a 2000 a Sheng recently, and I think we drank a 2003 Sheng too. Maybe. Well, we'll see. It's only the second. This is my third steeping, so we'll see. I mean, we're still early on here. The cake still needs to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like see, it's still pretty compressed there. You can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I would keep the lid on the pot.
All times.
Yeah.
Why?
If you want a little more quickly. This, you can see my brew is dark.
Yes. Yep.
That's a dark brew.
Because you're keeping the lid on all the time.
I'm keeping the lid on, and my water is hot.
Yep.
Telling you, this reminds me of being in Poe's tea room.
Yep.
Taste it. It has a really refined taste. It has a lively. It definitely. I could definitely see serving this to somebody, and they wouldn't necessarily know it was a Sheng or a Shao. There would be some speculation. Also, you can taste the vibrancy, like the greenness of the tea, but without. It's just like it tastes like a plant. It has like a really nice.
Right.
It has a lively smell, but it's the the body, there isn't really any sharpness to it, and it's just very smooth. Nice oils just go right down. It's very easy to drink.
Yeah, I agree.
It has just a really nice, has a just delicious flavor. It has that like medicinal quality that aged teas can have.
Yes.
Like this feels good for me.
Mhm.
Feels like I am drinking something that has positive health benefits.
What you want. All right, so I'm on number 4 here.
Is that a picture that you have there now?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this cup isn't big enough. And so if I wanted to do it without a pitcher, I'd have to leave some of the, like half of the water in the pot, which
I see. I see.
At home, I have when we do this when I'm at home, I use my bigger cup so that I can just pour the entire thing into one cup. But that cup's very fragile, so I don't like to travel with it.
Smart.
So got to use the secondary vessel.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
I think I got
Tea
it.
delivery.
Thank you so much. Is it what delivery?
Nothing.
Thank you. I think that was a slip. I think that was a slip. No, I knew it.
I mean, it's
actually, I have a guess of what it is.
what? Okay, so context, because people are watching us. So your birthday's in 2 days. I got a notification today saying that there was going to be a delivery today, and I said, "You're going to get a delivery today. Don't open it."
No, I'm not going to open it.
Right.
And
right.
I don't have to ruin it with a guess.
Okay, don't ruin it. But not, write your guess down.
I'm going to write.
Share.
I'll write it down in my head. I'll tell Melissa what I think it is.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm on steeping 4, and I'm definitely, for these videos, it would probably be good if I had a small, I don't want to use my smallest pot.
Right.
But if I just had a slightly smaller pot, because I like my tea hot, and then, as you can see, this cup isn't like a small cup, right?
Right.
So I'm not trying to pound this tea, but yeah, it's a beautiful situation.
It's really nice. This is more of like this is one of those teas that, for me, experientially, it's more of like, it's kind of like, when you meet a new person, and with some people you spend 10 minutes to 30 minutes just asking the standard questions, trying to find a meeting point. Like, where did you go to school? Where are you from? What do you do? These kinds of things, small talk, essentially. And then there's some people you meet, and within 5 minutes, you just didn't need to do any of that. You just got straight into it because you just connected with it. So I feel like that's my experience with this tea is it's already I know this tea, and we don't need to go over its qualities. That's kind of how I feel about it. It's a good tea,
And that's the video.
So
we're
done.
Good. We're done. That was easy. Here, you could insert a graphic here.
Right.
Fun.
I'm going to insert something. But let's break that down though. What, that's the feeling.
Okay. So the next 30 minutes will be us breaking down that.
Energetically though, I do feel it kind of it's energizing.
Yeah.
It's got a lightness to it.
I just feel like, I don't know if I was already just in a good mood before that. Maybe when you told me you got me a birthday present, I got really excited. I can't lie. I'm a typical Leo. I love my birthday. I want to be worshipped. La la la.
Well, I wasn't in a good mood before this, so I'm
You
probably
wasn't?
better. Well, I wasn't in a bad mood, but on the spectrum of bad to good, I wasn't like
Yeah.
energized, you know? Like there's an active there you can be in a good mood that's kind of like just like, oh, I'm good, I'm chill.
You
But
were
then
mood
there's good and
agnostic.
activated. What?
You were mood agnostic.
Right. Yes. That was mood
Now
activated.
you're more religious in your mood now.
Yes. If anybody would want to join my church, there will be a number at the bottom of the screen.
I feel like I'm in a very pleasant climate. Like I feel like I'm somewhere like Thailand, and and it's really hard to be in a bad mood because I'm just surrounded by
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
palm
The
trees.
vibe is just the vibe is it has a vibe, the tea. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a vibe that I want to imbibe.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely working on the dad jokes.
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
some dad joke tea, y'all. Okay.
So, yeah. For anybody who wants improving their dad jokes, this is the tea for you.
I already know that I'm gonna have to heat up more water during this session because I'm just going through it, going through the water.
Yep.
I
So I
so
think this is 5 for me.
so just to
Second half
clarify
of 5.
something for anybody that watches these tea videos, and say they have like a legit tea practice where they have legit teaware and they use a kettle and they have like a nice setup and everything. So as you can see, like I'm just totally, I feel like I'm doing it a way that people do it, and this is what I do, and I kind of like this now. Like I used the kettle for a long time, but then because I drink a lot of tea, this repetitive motion. I have a heavy kettle just over and over again. I just naturally kind of gravitated away from it just recently, and with having a baby and stuff, like we've had to rearrange things. So now it's not really, and we have a fan and stuff where we normally have the kettle. So I kind of, the kettle just kind of went away for a month, and I've been using this thermos that's been great because I only put hot water in it and keeps it super hot. So my water is like, I don't have to keep reheating my water, which is also
Right.
like, ideally you wouldn't have to do like reheat your water over and over again, because that does like affect the smoothness of your water. And
Removes all
so
the
this
oxygen
way I
from
can
it.
just have the water straight up hot. And I've been enjoying it, especially for these videos where I'm
And
trying to do all this stuff. And
right. And this way I can be anywhere, travel, and do all the things. Because, you know, obviously, and people have seen this, I have many different types of setups for tea if I'm doing ceremonies or whatever. But
yeah,
this is legit. You know, this is how it gets done.
it is how it gets done. You look like you're in an area where you could just like fall into a cuddle puddle, like immediately where you're
I
at.
hope not. I'm not interested in being a part of a cuddle puddle.
A cuddle puddle between two individuals.
But that's not a cuddle puddle. I don't think that could be classified as a cuddle puddle.
Yeah, my
You know, Socrates said a cuddle puddle is 3 or more people.
oh, okay, Socrates. All right. Well,
You know, you can't argue with Socrates.
well, actually, I'm not a big arguer, um, but I do have a couple bones to pick with Socrates. But that's neither
So
here
let's
nor
let's let's take a step back for a second. So what is it about this tea that makes it so that this video makes absolutely no sense?
there. It's just good. It's a good tea.
Yeah.
I kind of, this tea would be really good for people that like care too much where it's debilitating, because you can imagine it, if you have a strong care muscle, which I feel like a lot of us do have, that's really being put to the test right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you care, and then you know there's lots of things to care about, and they're worth caring about. But man, when you read some of the old Taoist like literature around tea, or like the tea sages talking about tea in the Taoist way, this is like that kind of tea that they're drinking, where it's like, it's not that you don't care about anything, it's just like the things that don't really matter are they're all the way over there, and I'm
Right.
just like the blessings are way more easy to embrace. Like this tea is
Mhm.
good. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Forest Spirit. Flavor wise, it has a similar, to me, it has that similar aged character. It's almost
Yeah.
pine. It's it's not as much camphor as it is this like fresh pine, fresh tree sap kind of thing.
Right. I get that. And there's definitely also an attribute, a flavor attribute of this tea that's unique. It's that kind of like, it's like, like wet leaves, like kind of
Yeah,
like sitting in water over time, like like seaweed. It's
yeah.
it's very pronounced.
And it's not musty.
No.
Sometimes with that tea that has that quality, you also get a little bit of like an attic or art thing. Um,
I'm noticing, like, the leaf, it kind of like, it looks to be mostly the same color, but there's definitely some darker leaf material in there. Um, do you know how many different types of leaves were mixed for this?
no,
Hmm. I still even have you. This is 6 steepings in. I still even have some chunks that haven't opened fully yet.
I'm I'm almost at a full openness, and I mean that in every sense.
Yep.
For the viewers, I hope you know by now that this tea is really good. So you need to just like stop this video and go and buy this tea. I support you. But before you leave, I just want to let you know that this is one of my favorite teas that I've had
Oh,
ever.
really?
Yeah, I'm just
Really?
going to say right now, I've had this tea once before. And honestly, it's even better now because before I used a bigger pot and I used the same amount. But now that I've
Hmm.
used more in a smaller pot, this is where it's at. You want to have a setup where your water can be very hot and your pot is maybe a little bit smaller and compact to really get the most out of this tea. I feel that you want to keep this tea hot. It wants to be
Right.
cooking, and you're not going to lose anything from that. You only have things to gain. And either using a nice clay pot that's not so thickly walled would be good. Because I feel like with the Sheng Puerh, generally it is nice to have not too thick of a wall. I think that the traditional Yixing pots are great because they're not so thick and they're not so thin either. I almost use my Yixing pot because I tend to really like to drink my teas out of there, the puer teas.
When
But
you're talking about thickness of the wall, like how thick are you talking about? So this is, I'm using a Yixing pot. That's how thick my walls are.
no, I feel like that's perfect. I just feel like there's some pots that more modern pots now, they're thick. They're like chunk,
Yeah,
or they're super dainty, which is good for
right. Like a
tea.
Taiwanese red clay or
Yeah, those are great for Taiwanese tea. A lot of them, but for like a puer tea like this,
where puer tea needs a cauldron. It needs like something where it can, well, older teas, not young chung, but where it can kind of
yeah, I
have a
honestly, even
space.
in terms of potters that like Peter Novak, like his pots are awesome for puer tea, like because like this size is like a 110 milliliter. It what's great about it is that it pours like fat, like it pours quickly, which I like for teas like this. And you could have a slow pouring pot too, which would be great would also be great for this tea. It doesn't really matter, but like it keeps it so hot, but it's still not. It's not a very thick walled pot. You can feel through it, and it breathes, which gives more of that, I feel, vibrancy. This tea is vibrant. You know, you don't want to suffocate the tea. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say is that when you have the lid on it, it's not just like being suffocated. Like it's breathing through a bit through like a good pot. So anyway, that's my little.
Right, and mine's 105 milliliters, so we're using a similar sized pot for this.
Yeah, this this tea definitely has a nice, a little bit of a cooling sensation on the inhale, and like it does have a fairly, it's fairly full bodied, and it gets me back here. Like it's definitely a smiley tea. It's causing a certain thing in my mouth, like a salivation, where it's easier to smile than not. I would have to really effort to frown. You know, it's easier to just kind of like do that. So if you need a happy tea, and this, to me, this doesn't feel overly like a warming tea necessarily. It feels, I definitely feel like there's a kind of an enveloping chi, but it doesn't just, this tea doesn't just like smack you with it. It kind of slowly rises, in my experience. Yeah, lean back. That's what you want to do. This is, I think, my 6th cup.
I think I'm on 7 or 8.
This is a Miyazaki tea for sure. So pair well with Princess Mononoke. That's like the most intense one that you would have with this tea. And you wouldn't want to go to like probably Nausicaa. It's a little bit too much. You want to go more like Castle in the Sky, Howl's Moving Castle. Even
I mean, Howl's Moving Castle has some intense parts, but I mean, you basically just do like a mix where you just like take all the parts of each of those movies where it's like all the nature landscapes and like, you know, and just skip all the war and everything. War and destruction. Yeah.
No, this would actually, honestly, I take it back. Spirited Away would probably be the best one for this one. Because it is an active journey, but I'm patient. Like I'm occupied, so I'm not worried about the time or whatever.
Right. So given that, you know, we always say, you know, with teas like this, you definitely want to sit with them, give them time, give attention and focus to the tea to get the most out of it. But with that said, what types of things do we feel like after having drank this tea are activities that would be supported by having had the experience?
Well, I will say it definitely has some energy. You might want to walk it out, a long walk. Something creative, something that requires maybe some mental focus, but it's not necessarily like computer programming. You know, maybe maybe more like a creative project. Like,
well, computer programming is creative too.
Well, that's a very creative thing. You know, that might be perfect for the right person to.
I'm, you know, speaking as a programmer, you could definitely write some code after having drank this tea.
Okay, good. Because it is a long haul kind of thing, right? Is it like sound engineering?
It depends on where in the process you are. Like there's different, if you're in the design phase and the architecture phase, there's a lot more planning work. But once you have the blueprint and you know what you need to build, it's more about just doing the thing, and it's a long haul kind of. So It's not necessary. I wouldn't prescribe it for the architectural planning stages.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit too relaxing for that.
Yeah.
But if you need energy to go on a longer journey, this is a great tea for that.
Yeah, that's why, like, I feel like this would be really good for something like editing. Like if you're
Yes.
editing.
Like a lot of somewhat repetitive tasks that you have to do for a long time, basically. Like it'll definitely be supportive for that, you know.
Yeah, like I definitely want to put some headphones on and get in. I mean, I feel like I've said that with several tea.
Yeah, like it'd be good for an album or something, but not passively though. Like you're putting headphones on while you're doing something. I don't feel like this tea. Like so, I think when we've said that in the past, it's been like, oh, this would be great. I just want to close my eyes and listen to like an album right now. It's not that. It's like
No, this
I
is
want to go do some. I want to do some work and listen to the whole entire Lord of the Rings score at the same time. You know, like
yeah, yes,
basically.
yes. Basically, um, after having this tea, I'm actually work. This is work. I'm gonna work and it is a computer situation where I'm going like this, but I can also have something going on here, and so
Right.
it does support a certain type of multitasking. Um, I can imagine getting on a bike, like going on a bike ride or something.
Working on your computer while you're on the bike.
Oh, yeah, as long as see, I can't have this hairdo when I have a helmet. You know, could you imagine?
No.
Getting a haircut next month, I'm stoked. By the way,
You're getting a haircut
yeah,
from that woman.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. It's like every 2 years I get a haircut or something.
I don't think I've gotten my haircut in I don't know how many years.
When you get your haircut, this is a part of the journey. Let me be clear. When you get a haircut, you can't just think about it. Well, you can, but I recommend not just thinking about it in terms of length being cut, but it's like also width. And when you get your haircut by a true hair master cutter,
Right.
the person I'm going to, she like helps layer, like she gives me layers, like a lot of weight comes off.
Right.
A significant amount of weight, but it's not necessarily only
I think
length.
your hair is heavier than mine.
Oh, my hair is like really thick. You have like more realistic hair. Like my hair is like just really thick. So,
Yeah.
but I will say that there's just something magical that happens when I get a haircut from her. It feels like I can breathe more,
Right. It's great. That's that's a good outcome from a thing.
As we've gone deeper into this tea, so like my cup is still dark, you
Yeah.
know, but there's this distinct flavor that it has that just keeps bringing me back to like the tea. Even though I'm talking or we're focused on other things, the actual flavor of it really keeps bringing me back to the tea. Like, oh, this tea is good. It keeps reminding me like, hey, we're drinking tea. This is really good. And it has a brightness to it that we talked about, this vibrancy we've talked about with other teas. It's really hard to pinpoint what it is, though, for me.
That's good. You know, because then in order to know, you need to try the tea.
It is distinct. It is a distinct.
Yes, it is distinct. Yeah.
It definitely has a personality that is it's memorable. I feel like it's a memorable.
Which character in Lord of the Rings is it closest to?
Which tea?
Which character?
Oh.
as a personality?
Do you have one? Do you have one in mind?
I don't have one. I'm asking myself the same question.
Um, Honestly, it's a combination for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination. And it's funny because the first two, the first thing I thought of wasn't necessarily one character, but it has an elven quality
Mm-hmm.
mixed with a little dwarf though, because I thought of Gimli.
I thought of Treebeard. Well,
Treebeard?
first I thought of Gandalf, but I was like, it's not full Gandalf.
No, it's a,
But then I was like, but Treebeard has that kind of elderly wizardly aspect too, but he's more of like a tree, you know.
this does, you know, it's
Um,
funny. I was thinking of like a little bit of elf, a little bit of dwarf. Maybe it's like
which
I'm
is
thinking,
kind of like Treebeard.
yeah, maybe it is more ant-like.
Yeah.
No, I'm into that. I feel like
A more,
that's
yeah, it's yeah.
yeah.
But
No, no,
but but Treebeard, if he lived in an area that had more water, because as I recall, his forest, it didn't have a lot of, like, there's a water element for sure, like that's nearby.
yeah.
Um,
The water's closer though. It's closer with this one.
yeah.
That's why I
So
say
anyway,
jungle.
yes, yeah, jungle.
There's a precipitation,
Yeah.
and it might be because I just watched Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tend to, around my birthday, I tend to kind of I justify like, oh, I'm gonna watch a movie every night, kind of thing, and
Nice.
watch these movies that maybe I've been meaning to watch that I've never watched. Like lately, it's been like these kind of classics. Like I never
When's the
saw.
last time that you watched The Goonies?
I've never seen the Goonies all the way through.
Because it just never held your attention, or?
Yeah, it's one of the things that happens with people who grow up in a Protestant home, not a
Uh-huh.
Catholic home. The Catholics know how to like they consume like media. Like
Hmm.
they were allowed to watch Simpsons. Like at least where I'm from, the Catholics were
Right.
like they're like the naughty Christians. They have kegs in their basements. Because like true Protestant, you don't drink, you have fun, but like it's very GPG rated.
Right. It's like if you're having fun, you have that triggers like a question whether or not you're doing something that's wrong. Wait, I'm having
Exactly.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. Like, see,
Check in.
Catholic guilt is different than Protestant guilt. That's all. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we want the podcast to turn into that, but essentially, I all I'm trying to say is that I did not, there weren't certain things that I saw growing up. Like, I didn't see Goonies, and I don't know if that
Right.
has to do with my upbringing, but I think it does. Um, but it's not speaking to the religious aspect of it, but just the overall. Like, I was the only boy too, so I'm not saying that that was a super gendered thing that the Goonies is, but like I think like it was all on me for certain things. Like, like I have four sisters, and all of them are in some ways, I don't want to say traditional, but like when we were growing up, it was like there was lots of girly things in the house, like romantic
Right.
comedies were happening, all the Disney movies, which aren't obviously, you know what I mean? It's just like I was only exposed to a certain like, and
Right.
then my
Right.
dad was like, okay, Star Wars, you know. My
Right.
dad
You're ready.
that Star
Yeah.
Wars happened, and thank you, Dad. It was great to have the Star Wars experience. But all I have to say is like I didn't see Goonies, and there were a lot of other classics. Like I never saw Neverending Story, and that might also have to do with
Mm.
the time period because you were
Right.
you
I'm older. I was born in the early
60
'80s, and you were
mid like
the mid.
80s.
Yeah.
So that has something to do
Um,
with it
yeah, for sure. You weren't watching Twin Peaks when you were growing up.
too. That's funny you say that though, because my back to tea, or I guess it's always tea with when you're drinking tea, but Kevin, like the tea house I worked at, the owner, Twin Peaks was like that's what he grew up with. You know what I mean? Like that's like when he was
Right.
in.
He's the reason I watched Twin Peaks. I hadn't seen it.
And now, honestly, this fall I plan to watch it. It's the perfect vibe right now.
For
Like
fall,
I know
yeah,
that fall, like especially this vibe, 2025, perfect for Twin Peaks, ultimate paranoia levels. So
yeah.
that's what I'm gonna like just go into it, with my headphones and just really. I've been putting it off though because I know that it does take a certain amount of energy to watch that.
Right. Right. You need to make sure you're sitting with inside of a circle and a pentagram so
Yes.
that you don't let anything in while you're watching it.
Or you only let the right ones in.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, I think it's safe for us to stop recording this at this point.
This thing has its own thing going on with it. It's like for me to try to like do something specific right now it takes more effort right now
Right.
with whatever
Yeah.
is happening with me with the tea.
Yeah, same. But that's so therefore it's a good tea because this is what you want a tea to be, especially if you're having it with somebody, It's just like without even trying it, just like stuff happens. It gets the things moving and it's a good time. So yeah. So I hope, it was definitely enjoyable for us to do this. So I hope that people found it enjoyable to watch this. Yeah. But if you did, certainly try the tea.